Hello, my name is Dr. Don Hicks, and I want to talk to you today about the life of a pastor. After 50 years serving in the ministry to some 5 churches as a senior pastor and 18 churches as transactional pastor and a consultant, the pastor of a church has a very high calling. This calling results in times of great joy, but also times of great ongoing difficulty and the risk of burnout. Unlike most careers, pastor does not have a specific job description, many times regular office hours or set salary. He can find himself on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes subject to unrelenting criticism, unrealistic expectations from members of his congregations, his leaders, even the elder board or the deacon body. He is often dependent on those same people's voluntary participation and donations in order for the church even to survive. Recent surveys of churches in the United States reveal that up to 50% of pastors are seriously thinking of leaving the ministry permanently at one time or another. And many pastors' children turn their backs on Christianity because they witness at first hand the difficulties their parents face. The reasons given are many, but there are the most common, which are stress, loneliness, criticism and division within the church, negative impact on the family, lack of respect, and declining attendance, and financial issues as well. We need senior adults to advise us, senior leaders to direct us or hold us accountable, peers to remind us that we are not alone. I want to reiterate that. You're not alone. Healers to dress our wounds, and companions who carry us when we can't carry on. The state of your church, the big question every pastor will face is how to stay loving, patient, and kind, but also become thick-skinned enough to survive the difficulties described above. It's simply not possible to fulfill this calling alone. Jesus had friends and companions. The Apostle Paul never traveled alone. Work at building relationships with each other, like-minded pastors, with the aim of walking together. Bear in mind this is different from networking, where another leader is only interested in your church and as far as it will serve their own agenda. Please remember that. Be genuinely accountable to your own leaders. It is also very helpful, encouraging, sometimes life-saving, to have your own spiritual father. For example, Moses had his father-in-law Jethro. Paul and Timothy. This is not necessarily based on age, so your spiritual father could be younger than you. 2. Build your own leadership team according to biblical principles found in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 13, Titus 1, 5 through 16. Like you, your young leaders will need not to be perfect and will sometimes make mistakes. However, the passages above emphasize they must not be new converts. It's also clear that a person's character is much more important than their gifting. 3. Look after your wife and children. This is so important. Your ministry success will be totally dependent on the support and well-being of your wife. Don't take her for granted. Give your family the attention and time they need. Please, you have time for everything else. Have a date night with your wife. My wife and I usually have done that on Friday nights. And then Saturday are for our children. And Saturday evening, my wife was always sensitive to let me get away, spend some final thoughts on the message, and be ready to go on Sunday morning. 4. Love your people. We are all called upon to love and serve each other humbly and graciously. However, a pastor is not called upon to be everybody's doormat. Remember, Jesus was not weak, but he was meek. And meek means controlled strength. You do not have to like everyone, be everyone's best friend, or remember everyone's birthday, and you are allowed to set boundaries within your life. Be genuinely loving, kind, sometimes means confronting bad behavior and being prepared to let people go. While it's nice to have a large growing church, the New Testament never even hints that the numbers are important or even measure of the quality of a church. Whether you have 12 people or 12,000 people, you are called to be faithfully look after those God has placed in your church. After all, it is His church, not yours. So often, we need to be remembered as pastors, this isn't our church. This is God's church. We're not the shepherd, we're the under shepherd. Remember that. Dealing with criticism can be a big challenge, as it is very hard to take criticism personally, and it can make you lose perspective very quickly. It's important to listen to criticism because there may be truth that requires your attention. However, it is also important not to become so sensitive to criticism that people with genuine questions or concerns no longer feel able to approach you, which can result in a church taking on an almost cultish atmosphere. Sadly, there are people who become chronically and repeatedly hostile in a passive-aggressive manner, usually over minor church culture or style preferences rather than major doctrinal truths. These are often people with underlying agendas who will never be satisfied with your explanations or your apologies, but will instead come back again and again with more issues. Over time, this can develop into gossip, slander, divisiveness, and can lead to the destruction of the church. The Bible is straightforward in how we should deal with such people once they have been warned. We are to let them go and have nothing further to do with them. Romans 16:17 through 18, Titus 3 through 10, 1 Timothy chapter 6 verses 3 through 6. However, do remember that most of the people in your church are not like this and will only want the best for you. Prayer and preaching and teaching the word are the main roles of the pastor, and they are needed in our churches now more than ever. It is easy to allow urgent church matters to encroach upon our prayer and our study time, and it's important not to allow this to happen. Your leaders and congregation will never progress further than you do in attitude, character, and spiritual maturity. One of the pieces of safety advice given at the beginning of any flight concerns the use of oxygen masks. If the masks are needed, you're instructed to make sure yours is fitted before helping anyone else. As a pastor, you will be of no use to God or your congregation if you don't look after your own health. Number 1, Take adequate rest. Most people need 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night in order to stay healthy. Take time off. Be as strict as you need to be in order to make sure it happens. Take your holidays, and if possible, go somewhere away from home for a complete change. 2, eat healthily and don't drink alcohol. Now, we can get into a lot of things. Well, Jesus turned water into wine, and a little for your stomach's sake. I'm a social drinker. Listen, stay away from alcohol. It's never has a good ending. Trust me. Do everyone you can to avoid lifestyles, illnesses that might shorten your useful time in the ministry. As you get older, poor nutrition, weight gain in particular, can have a profound effect on your physical and mental health. Let's stop right here. You are a pastor. You have a responsibility to the Lord, to yourself, to your wife, to your children, to your church. Make sure you have an annual checkup, physical with your doctor, where he can check your blood pressure, your temperature, all the normal things, and do a complete blood study on you and do whatever it takes to make sure that you have a good physical and follow up on that. Please, if you forget everything else I've said, remember that, okay? Because it can affect your personal life, certainly your marriage, your family, and your church. Number 3, get some regular exercise. Find an activity you enjoy and can sustain in the long term. Recommendation is to do 3 hours of moderate exercise per week. I'm going to go a little bit more on that. I think you need to do about 5 hours, okay? If you're not motivated, go to a personal trainer, not to become a muscle man, but they can help you learn a good routine. If you're not able to run, walk. That can be extremely healthy as well. Get some ear pods. You can listen to music. You can listen to a sermon. You can listen to your own sermon as well. But get the exercise you need. It will pay off big dividends. Develop a healthy, enjoyable hobby. And that doesn't mean that, well, my hobby is studying the Bible. My hobby is cutting the church grass. No, find something that you can do to get away from your routine. And there's plenty of things to look at. So find something that interests you and take some time doing that to just have a time where you're just getting away from all the normal things you do, the stresses of the ministry, of the job, of all of those things, and just relax and have some fun. Hey, I hope this has helped you. Go back over it and study it, and may God use you for his kingdom to further it. God bless you.